Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. It's always a good day, and we have our friends in from St. Paul's Place joining us. Is Esther Chacon. She is the center director. How you doing there, Esther?
I'm doing great this morning. How are you, Drew?
I'm thrilled, and you got your colleague in with you today, Carol Castillon. She is the VP of Operations. Carol, how long you been with Pace?
I've been with Pace for 7 years now.
7 years? Okay. How about you, Esther?
With St. Paul, 6 months.
Very,
I'm a
very
newbie.
good.
She is our newbie.
She is a newbie on this. So, and St. Paul's has been in business for how long, Carol?
60 years.
60 years,
Yeah.
my goodness. And now, is 60 years just in San Diego or all over?
In San Diego. So
Right.
we serve primarily San Diego community.
Right, exactly. What's the mission?
Our mission is leading the aging experience.
Yeah, and one thing I think has been so great about since we've had you on our good friend, how long was she there? Amber Goy.
Amanda Goy.
Amanda Goy.
Oh, yeah. She retired recently, but she was with us for several years.
I remember when Amanda first started. It was one of our first interviews. We've been doing this show for 19 years. And boy, just full of life and bubbly as can be and smart as and everything in between on this. And she had we just hit the ground running. And then, of course, you guys have grown. But one of the things that I love about St. Paul's Place, and this is just in your DNA, is how do we make sure that people age with dignity? Talk about that, Esther.
I mean, PACE itself, it's a program to make sure that people that are aging are safe at home, continue safely at home, that they don't have to end up in a nursing facility, that they continue to have their dignity and ability to be able to live independently at home. And so our services help with that.
Exactly. And with that, there's got to be a certain level of the socioeconomic level you have to be in before you get the PACE services. Is that correct?
So yes, Medicaid is technically the payer.
Right.
There is an ability to actually pay privately to be in the program, but we mainly do serve the underserved population.
Right, exactly. And so, Carol, with that, is there a waiting list to get into St. Paul's Place?
No, not at all. It is a process, though. There's, of course, eligibility requirements. You have to be 55 and over. You have to be certified to meet a skilled nursing level of care in the community and be safely living in the community. The process includes a full intake with one of our nurses. They go out to your home, they assess, and then we have to submit that to the state. The state then has to certify you to meet level of care, and then we can go ahead and enroll you. So it is a process, but we have great folks and great staff that work with any person that's interested in enrolling.
And then would the person, because the whole goal is to treat the patient, so to speak, or the client in his or her home, right?
Correct.
Is it a 7/24 deal? Is it once a week? Is it vary?
We are responsible for that patient 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year.
Right. And do they live at that house?
So they live in their home. Primarily, the goal is to keep folks in their home to age at home.
Right. But do the PACE people live in the home?
Correct. So PACE participants live in their home. We go into their home. We have home care services. We have home health services. We have drivers. I mean, you name it. We provide the full wraparound services to our patients.
So the reason why I said that, my mom was with Visiting Angels, and they do a great job. But they lived in the house with her, which was wonderful. And so they were, 24/7, and mom was, just had a tough time getting around. But they take her and get her hair appointments and all that. But she couldn't take care of herself in certain ways. for 7 years. It was wonderful. These people were amazing.
Yeah.
But you folks don't actually live in the home.
No,
Right,
no.
right.
We do send caregivers to the home to
Right.
provide services.
Right, exactly. But not, if the person needs 24 hours of care, do you guys cover that as well?
So typically we provide, there's an array of services. So
Right.
folks can come actually to our center, our day centers.
Yeah.
We provide social activities and rehab services. And we have our clinic, our primary care clinics there, nursing there, social work there. And so we provide kind of a mixture of services. A patient can come to our centers from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon, and then we can send them back home. We can send a caregiver to the home to provide that extra support. So that's how we try to provide that care.
Right.
If someone needs to the point where they need a skilled level of care and 24 hours of care, that's when we work with our partners to see where we can, in fact, provide that care.
Right. And exactly. I remember, first learning about you folks is that the centers are great. There are a lot of activities. There's music, there's art, there's lectures, there's whatever the case may be. And you would pick up the person at his or her home,
Correct.
drive them over, do X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
Do some people go to the care centers every day?
Yes, they do.
And
5 days a week, right?
So it's Monday through Friday. Then.
Monday
Right
through
to
Friday.
Right. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. I think one of the things, and maybe you can elaborate on this, Esther, and you jump in too, Carol, that the reason why we love talking about seniors on our Spotlight in the Community show, they have so much to give. They got so much in their tank, okay? And we want people to embrace their knowledge and all that business. Talk about how important that is.
That's exactly why I got into the business of working. It's a business, and it's crazy that I call it that. But since I was in my early 20s, I started working in skilled nursing facilities and really absolutely loved just giving people company, learning from conversation, learning history itself from an individual. And that's honestly something I fell in love with. And our center down in Chula Vista, 5 days a week, it's like a party. There's always entertainment. You've got patients that want to come in every day. And most of the time, it's really just needing a conversation or a friend.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Now, how many facilities you have? You have one in Chula Vista, and there's one in Hillcrest area? No?
So we have our Bankers Hill.
Bankers Hill, okay,
yes, and that's our skilled nursing facility with St. Paul's. We also have assisted living in our Bankers Hill area.
Okay.
But we do have our PACE centers. So St. Paul's PACE centers are located in El Cajon.
Okay.
Downtown is a big one. It's right across from the San Diego Rescue Mission.
Okay.
We have the Chula Vista branch, and then we have an Encinitas clinic that we support services in our North County area for.
So since you folks came into San Diego, and I was talking to Amanda many moons ago, you guys those weren't there when she first came in, correct?
No.
Yeah. So how do you get your funding? Talk about that.
So we are funded through Medi-Cal Medicare.
Yeah.
We go through a capitated rate. So we have one pot of money. Let's say if you are a participant of ours, we get $100 for you. I'm just making up numbers there.
Right.
And with that $100, we're required to provide all services for you, including primary care, hospitalizations, medications, transportation to medical appointments, food if it's needed, just the full array of services that you can think of that a senior would need, we provide that service. So it is through a capitated model through Medi-Cal Medicare.
Oh, that's great. We're chatting with our friends from St. Paul's PACE. I'm Drew Schlosberg, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. We're now in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County, from food insecurity to art to financial literacy and everything in between there. Just great partners. Chatting with our friends, Esther Chacon. She is the Center Director for St. Paul's PACE, joined by her colleague, Carol Castillon. She is the VP of Operations. So for those listening, and they go, listen, I got to get my mom or my great-grandma or my uncle or whatever the case may be. How does that process start? I'll start with you on that, Carol.
Sure. They can go to our website, which is www.stpaulspace.org. There is a link in there. They can provide information, just their name, number, and then we will call them back and get that process going. We have staff that go to the home to provide the intake, to educate them on what our services can provide
Right.
and how that will impact their Medi-Cal, because we are the primary care providers, so they will be seeing our physicians
Right.
and our providers. So that is a change that some folks aren't aware of when they sign up.
Right.
So we really want to explain that to them before. That intake person will go out, assist them with any questions. We also assist in applying for Medi-Cal. So that's a big one. If someone is not on Medi-Cal and wants to be on our services, we can go ahead and help facilitate that for them. So it's a neat
Right.
process.
Now, the people that you are serving, okay, so they're in their homes, okay, or apartments or condos, whatever the case may be. Do they have to be living alone? Can there be someone with them?
No, they can be living with family members.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Esther's center is primarily, they do have a lot of family. It's a Latino mainly population, a lot of generations living together in one home. So that is primarily, we can do anything. Independently, if you're living alone, if you have family members, if you're with a partner, we provide that support.
Yeah, so talk about that, how important that is, Esther, the fact that there can be family members also living at the home.
Oh, absolutely. It's actually even helpful for us
Right.
as a PACE organization to make sure that we know the participant. We call them participants because we want them to actively participate in their care.
Right.
So the participant to have someone at home the 24/7 to support the services that we provide.
Right.
Now, we understand that there's a lot of families that care for their loved ones, but also work, maybe have little ones, and they
Right.
don't have the time to be able to be there with their loved one 24/7.
Right.
And that's where it's extremely helpful for us to know that the patient and participant are safe at home with family when we don't provide the services. So if they're daily at our center from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4:30, we know they're going home to their loved ones. If they still need extra assistance because maybe their daughter or son can't do everything for their loved one, we pick up their laundry. We do extra services like showers in the home. So we can provide all those supplementary services that family or loved ones or roommates even can't do for that individual.
Right. Much has been written about how, unfortunately, the largest growing population of the homeless are seniors. And imagine they would be just actually perfectly set up to be participants in St. Paul's PACE. Esther, and you can answer this too, Carol, are you seeing a growth in that area just because of the way things have been going? San Diego is not the most inexpensive place to live, to say the least. That certainly puts another burden on it. Was that number growing?
It's huge.
Right.
It's huge. The population that I work with down in Chula Vista, like Carol mentioned, we do have a lot of family support. But when you get into our center down where we call Reesner in downtown, it's huge. We have the rescue mission right across the street. We get referrals. But one of the things that PACE does require is that you have to have a safely housed somewhere. Right. And so we do work very closely with a lot of our partners that help with transitional housing and making sure that the individual has even supportive housing. And then we step in and provide any of those other services.
So, Drew, one thing I want to mention, which I'm very proud of in working with St. Paul's, is our commitment to helping supportive housing. So many years ago, our previous CEO, Cheryl Wilson, and now our CEO, Michael McHale, has really pushed us into working with our supportive housing folks. So we've partnered with several partners throughout San Diego, and we provide services to apartment complexes which are designated for supportive housing. The services there are different than what services that we provide maybe in Chula Vista. So we provide more of that housing support, how to maintain your house once you're housed and after you've been homeless for 30 plus years. Living in an apartment is something different. And, you're learning new skills, even how to manage your finances and how to really, work or live within a community themselves, because they're previously homeless folks were living independently.
That's right.
They're living on the streets, and now they're put into an environment with other seniors, which can be difficult at times. So I'm really proud that we're able to provide big level of support. We were able to bring in behavioral health services. We provide substance use counselors to these places. We have chaplain services that go out. Our social workers do office hours just to provide that additional support that they may need. Folks that we've served, we have several properties. One particularly that I'm very well aware of is our Talmadge one. I used to go over there and do our coffee with the director. And the stories that you would hear of how they've just overcome adversity, it's life-changing. And if you physically see a patient when they come into our center, right when they enroll, and you get a picture of them a year later, it is a complete change. They just look so healthy and vibrant. Their skin looks beautiful. And they'll tell you, a lot of them will tell you, you have saved my life. And that, I think, is such a key thing too. She calls it business. It is a model. It is a healthcare model. But it is so rewarding, the changes, the transformations that you see when you work with these individuals, with all our patients. And then the staff that are committed to providing that care. It's nothing like I've seen before. And I've worked in healthcare and I've worked with the county for several years. And it is the best program for healthcare.
No, and that's great. When we come back from break, we're going to continue on that story because it's not just that one person that you are working on. It's their relatives, their family, their pets, whatever, everything in between. Of course, when we come back with our friends from St. Paul's Pace, I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. For 6 decades, they've been doing great things in San Diego County for its residents. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're in our 19th year. Hard to believe. Brought to you by the very cool folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things. People living in San Diego County. Honored to have back in the studio for a return appearance our friends from St. Paul's Pace, Carol Castillon. She is the VP of Operations, joined by her colleague, Esther Chacon. She is the center director. And, we were just chatting about that great story you were sharing, Carol, and Esther, you see it all the time as well. And certainly you've brightened the life of the person that is getting the participant that is getting those services, as use the term you have. But talk about, Esther, that it's the family that's in getting the benefit of what you have done to the participant.
Absolutely. And you see it so often with an aging population that might be diagnosed with dementia per se. And they're living at home with a daughter or a son or a loved one who just doesn't know what else to do, who's continuously followed up with the providers that they see, that they've exhausted resources within the community of what else and where else can I do for my loved one. And knowing that we can step in and say, okay, we've got this. We're going to take your loved one to our day center for this amount of time. Or we work with our family members who are just exhausted. we provide respite care if needed. We know that the families need a break. We know that they need some time to just really get their energy back. They know that they don't want to see their loved one placed anywhere. And so they just need some time. We can provide those services too. And we see it daily. It's daily.
Well, we said this quite a bit on the show. And there's about, I'm not sure if the numbers change. You guys would know this better than I would. But at one moment in time, there were 600,000 caregivers in San Diego County. 300,000 of them looked like us. That now all of a sudden I'm taking care of my mom, my brother, my daughter, whatever, because that's how that works. No, I still have a job, and I still got other kids, and I still got but now I'm a caregiver. And to your point, we're not trained on being a caregiver. We have to learn it on the job, but there's no other choice. Now, you guys have come in, and obviously the pros in knowing how to take care, and absolutely, done something to release some of the burden on these family members. That is beyond huge as well. In that area. How many folks do you serve? I'll ask you this question, Carol, in any calendar year.
So our current census is around 1,400,
Okay.
and that census comes and grows.
Right.
It depends. Some of our folks pass away.
Right.
Some of them move away, and so we enroll typically every month anywhere between 20 to 30 new enrollees.
Right. And do some have they been there for years? Since
Absolutely.
Right.
We've had folks since we opened up in 2008.
Right. So exactly, and we'll continue to do that as well in that area. I'm sure you could spend the next 15 hours and not even touch on all the great stories to tell. But do you have any that come to mind?
Yes,
please.
I absolutely do. So I have a patient in our Chula Vista Center who had previously, before joining us, had been going in and out of the hospital, kept getting a misdiagnosis. So he kept going and going and going and going and going. And he ended up in a wheelchair, unable to feed himself, had family support, but just couldn't get the right care now. I'm sure you're familiar with our healthcare system, and I'm sure I'm a caregiver, so I'm very familiar with the system. And when you go to the doctor, do you get episodic care? You're there for that one thing they're going to treat you for, right? So if I'm there, I have a headache, the doctor's going to just address the headache. And this is what was happening to this gentleman. He was going and he was just being addressed with the current issue, which was pain. And so they never really were able to look into it. The difference when he came to us was that our providers spend a full, sometimes hour and a half with the patient. They do a head-to-toe assessment. They review hundreds of charts and medical information to find out what exactly is going on. So here he was coming in a wheelchair with his wife who had to put his shoes on every day and, feed him. And his quality of life was just horrible. He felt he was a burden. He was just, put me in a home. I can't do this to my wife, right? And our doctors got in there. Our whole team got in there. Our rehab team, our dietitians, our social workers, they got in there. And after about 6 months or so, they determined, because he was getting diagnosed with gout. It was always gout. And he's like, no, this isn't gout. So we changed his diet. Everything was changed and it still was happening. So our doctors got in there. They started sending him to different specialists within the community. And it turned out he had rheumatoid arthritis.
Wow.
And
that was never diagnosed.
Which was never diagnosed. And he was going to the hospital, getting liquid removed from his knees, just painful. So after a few months of, when you have rheumatoid arthritis, they have to look at the right kind of dosage of medication. So they went through, they got him on the right dose, and they helped work him back up because he was in a wheelchair for a while, so he was weak, worked him back up, was able to walk again, was able to feed himself again. And so when he comes to center and you talk with him, he now is gardening.
Wow.
He loves his chickens and runs around with his chickens. I call him the chicken pastor because he loves, the animals outside and the gardening. And he'll bring in his squash and apples and whatnot, just because he is so thankful for the services. And it is a complete 360. You think about someone in a wheelchair with his wife. His wife was just over the moon excited and happy when we were able to get him into the position he is now. And not only does he walk, but he is vibrant. He's living. He's not just kind of sitting there existing and just being a day-to-day. He is living life, and his quality of life has just increased.
Right. Well, you changed a minimum of 3 lives, yours, and everybody who worked with him, so maybe 3 plus, his wife's and his life. And if he has kids and and friends and all that business. And that is a life that is going to be vibrant moving forward. And you don't put a price tag on that. Obviously, you guys know that better than anybody in that area. We're chatting with our friends from St. Paul's Pace. I'm Drew Schlosberg, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years doing great things in San Diego County. I'll start with you on this, Esther, and you just jump in too, please, Carol. What can our listeners do to support your efforts? Donate, volunteer, do everything in between. What can they do?
We love volunteers. Just so you know, we love it. Only because our day centers are so vibrant.
Right.
I know El Cajon's Day Center is starting to liven up. Our downtown location is going through some revamping right now. So our Chula Vista location would always appreciate a volunteer. Come on, take a look at what we have to offer. Later this month, we actually have an evening event for our participants. So it's like a dance. We're going to have like an evening prom. And so to have people come in would be amazing. Word of mouth. If you have a neighbor, if you have a family member that might need some help, send them over. Go on our website. Refer people you might know. Refer someone you see that might need some help. Because that's what we do.
Right. What type of volunteer opportunities are there at the centers?
In the day center. Yeah. So you can come on in and actually dance with our patients. They love to dance.
They love dancing.
Dancing. Bring in music. They like to have people sing. They have to have people...
Again, if people could come and see my center, I have live entertainment almost every day.
Nice.
It scares me because we have our patients with our walkers and they leave their walkers in the corner because they want to dance.
Right.
So just to have people there, it's great.
Right. Yeah. Carol, I mean, does funding help to support? You guys put on events during the year to raise money for St. Paul's Pace?
We do. We have our Summerfest coming up, and it's on our website. So the more information, go on our St. Paul's website. But and there is donation opportunities there. I would say the big thing right now that I think is facing all of our PACE organizations, all of our Medi-Cal services, is just the uncertainty of cuts and budget cuts to our Medicaid.
Yeah.
So that would be grassroots effort, sending a letter to your
100%
congressmen, your senators, is really what we need right now.
Yeah, and let me just amplify that. If you don't think that works, it works. And if you've got a loved, even if you don't have a loved one, you got to have some empathy. Even if you don't have somebody in this case, flood that congressman, congresswoman's email with the last thing we need to be doing to this population is cutting the services. Write 10 times, write 100 times, write 4 billion times. Mm-hmm. And it works. That stuff absolutely works. And so is there maybe a place on your website where you can help people draft that letter to the Congress people? Sometimes different groups will say, hey, here's a sample letter you use. You don't want to use the exact same words all the time, but is there something that can give them some guidance what to say?
Sure, yes. So we have our National PACE organization who has templated letters for us. So if you go on the National PACE Association website, there are letters that we can template it already. Yep. You put your information in there. This is, like I said, a national effort. So we appreciate any support we could get.
What's the website to get a hold of you?
Our website is www.stpaulspace.org.
Right. So there's many opportunities, as Esther was saying, for volunteering. As Carol said, you can donate, take a look at all their events that are coming up. Carol and Esther, always a pleasure having St. Paul's Pace in. What I love to do, don't want to break any HIPAA laws here, but But and I'm not sure if Amanda ever did this at all. But if you have a family that, people that want to come in, and talk about what St. Paul's Pace
Absolutely.
has meant to them, we'd love to have that.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
okay, so consider that a done deal.
Yes.
I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. We're in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County. We hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.